go like
no, it isn't truth. Truth isn't truth.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
Alternative facts and truth isn't truth, two Trumpy slogans that may be with us for a while, but the ideas behind them aren't new. In 2004, a top Bush aide mocked what he called, quote, the reality-based community in the press, saying that in the Bush White House, quote, we create our own reality. A year later, Stephen Colbert gave us truthiness.
I will speak to you in plain, simple English. And that brings us to tonight's word. Truthiness. I don't trust books. They're all fact, no heart. And that's exactly what's pulling our country apart today.
Now, Trump's lawyer tells us that truth isn't truth at all. And Trump himself is urging us to, quote, study the late Joseph McCarthy, the notorious demagogue who used lies to ruin lives during the Red Scare until he was finally called out in a public hearing.
Until this moment, Senator, I think I never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
Joining me now, E.J. Dionne from The Washington Post. The headline of his new column says America is slouching toward autocracy. He writes that a slow-motion dismantling of rules, norms, and expectations can be more insidious because we don't even notice what's happening to us. E.J., good to see you, and I couldn't agree with you more. That's the danger, that these things that operate in the abstract, that the average American doesn't relate to John Brennan's security clearance and why he needs it. But when the president gets away with these things one after another without pushback from Congress, it just eats away at our democracy.
No, that's thanks. It's good to be with you. That's exactly right. And you've got real life examples out there in the world of what's happened in Turkey under Erdogan or what's happened in Hungary under Orban, that you have formal democratic structures, but leaders slowly eat away at them. They gerrymander districts so they can't lose elections. They sort of kill the free press sometimes by having their supporters buy the papers that are out there that are critical or putting journalists in jail, ultimately. But this all happens very slowly, and we don't notice it. I mean, you and I are sitting here very free in our great America, being able to talk about these things. But it's the slow erosion of rights, and I think that's why the Brennan thing hit people hard. I mean, it's not that security clearances as such are on people's minds, but here are a group of people, including Brennan, whose job it is to protect the country, who were public servants, and you use something like a security clearance as a punishment, taking it away as a punishment. And it's like, well, what other ways will President Trump decide that he's going to make it very difficult for people who choose to oppose him, people who have some power inside the government?
You know, on Friday night, a guest referred to us as journalists as being alarmist about the John Brennan thing. And you have a quote in your column which says, those of us fearful that Trump is subverting basic freedoms and the arrangements that sustain them are frequently dismissed as alarmists who fail to recognize the endurance of checks, balances, and other circuit breakers. In this view, asserting that Trump imperils our liberties demonstrates a lack of appreciation for the genius that is the American experiment.
Right, and I appreciate the genius that is the American experiment, but the founders and the people who expanded our democracy after them counted on the other branches of government to act as a check and a balance on the president. And one of the points I make in the column is that this Congress has just not done that. You have some, obviously the Democratic minority is, but they don't have power. Some Republicans at the margin, Senator Corker, Senator Flake, who notably are not running for re-election, have spoken out. But the Republicans who hold real power in Congress, who chair the committees like the intelligence committees, they're not using this to hold President Trump to account. On the contrary, in the case of Representative Nunes, he's using his committee to go after Trump's opponents. So you can only have checks and balances be effective if the people who are operating the levers of power within one of the branches of government are willing to use them.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.